The mark of a blithering idiot when it comes to nutrition is when someone says something like, well, carbohydrates are not essential. Okay, they're an idiot, and I'm going to explain why. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today, but a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below. It would be greatly appreciated. If you are not subscribed or following, please do so, and if you will be kind enough to drop me a comment down below, I would also greatly appreciate that. So let's get over to this topic. And the reason I say that is because people try to use it when giving nutrition advice, okay? It is a statement that is biologically true in terms of nutritional science. In other words, what essential means that your body cannot produce something on its own from anything. It cannot make it out of anything else, and it is something you will die without. You will die if your body if you don't consume it, right? You will die if you do not consume the nutrient, whether it's a macronutrient, a vitamin, a mineral. And it means it's something you can't make. For example, copper, right? Perfect example. If there's no copper in your diet, you will die. Our body can't make copper. It's a mineral. All right. Essential in terms of things with calories, right? There's 10 things that are essential. Out of all the possible calories you can eat, there are 10 substances. Okay, out of the 20 amino acids we consume, 8 of them are essential. Okay, makes sense? 8 of them. There are 2 fats that are essential. And people say omega-3, omega-6. No, that's not actually true. They're subcategories. All right, the 2 essential ones are linoleic acid and alpha linoleic acid. There are no other essential fats. Do people see where we're going with this? 99% of the fats are non-essential. All right. Like 99% of the fats that are out there are probably non-essential. It's going to depend. I mean, it depends. Some foods will have a fair amount of linoleic acid. All right. So in that context, you have to understand what this means. So I'll give you examples of things that are not essential. Saturated fat, completely non-essential. So you see how silly the carbohydrate thing is? You know this, and keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. How many of the people who give this advice don't even follow it themselves? They say, well, you don't need to eat carbs because they're not essential. You look at the same person, well, you don't need to eat saturated fat, it's not essential. Well, their whole diet is blown, because everyone who promotes a zero carb or absurdly low carb usually eats excessive amounts of saturated fat, which is also non-essential. Your body can make it, and it is not required for survival. See, here's the difference, though, between those two. Here's the difference between those two, and this is where we're going to get into a point of contention, of understanding. If your body does not make any carbohydrate, you will be dead. And I don't mean next week, I mean dead right now. You will go unconscious. Okay, so let's be clear. If there is no carbohydrate at all, no glucose being produced anywhere in your body or being consumed, you will be unconscious within seconds. You will be dead within minutes. Okay? So the presence of it is an absolute extreme essential for survival. It is like an immediate survival. What happens if there's no saturated fat being produced anywhere in your body or coming in? You'll be just fine. So what? Your body, it doesn't require saturated fat. Really, the only place there is saturated fat stored anywhere in your body is in your fat cells, right? That's pretty much where it is. Right? But we don't have to have saturated fat even in our fat cells. We can technically make them out of the others to some extent, you know, because there's a lot of monounsaturated, there's a lot of polyunsaturated all through your body fat. Okay? And it's going to be dependent on the composition of your diet. Like how much of those fats you have in your actual fat is actually not the same person to person. It is lifestyle induced. Like what you eat will be a massive factor in what those percentages look like. All right, so now that we've covered all that, people understand this is what essential means. But by the way, there is a carbohydrate that dietitians do want to make essential. They just have never been able to get a big enough push for it to be officially declared. And then this whole statement goes away, and that's fiber. All right? Fiber is actually essential. It is essential for survival. You have to have some. In fact, you need a lot for health. If your fiber is too low, you will eventually not be healthy no matter what else you do, by the way. Just an FYI. But yeah, I mean, in theory, you go long enough with no fiber in your diet, you will also die. And some of the carnivore types have forgotten that part. When they're trying to consume zero, it's going to eventually kill them, actually. But I digress. Let's go back over to this other point. So the reality, carbohydrate is essential for survival so that your body can make enough of it to keep you alive. Now, but when we talk about health and optimal, let's talk about that. Deep keto, talking nearly zero carbohydrate. Do you see any athletes doing that? Like, how many elite athletes do that? Even lower carb is really unpopular among serious athletes. Why? They can't perform. So to be extremely athletic, most athletes eat very carb-based diets. You go to the Olympics. And you look at all the people up there who are all from all these different sports, and you go down the road, you will almost exclusively find carbohydrates being the majority of their calories. Remember, we have carbs, fat, and protein. Most of them are consuming most of their calories from carbohydrate. All right, same thing, let's talk about even pre-contest bodybuilders getting shredded. How many of them do tons of brown rice or potatoes? Tons of them still get shredded. And it's really obviously high carbohydrate diets are king for serious bodybuilders also, and most serious weightlifters. Granted, there's some who do low carb. They're still a minority. All right, how about longevity? Every country on earth that is in the top 10 for longevity get the majority of their calories from carbohydrates. Okay? So we see where we're going of why this is problematic, and I'm not saying certain lower carb approaches can't work really well for health and body composition, but they're not zero carb, and they're still usually mostly polyunsaturated, monounsaturated. They still have to be very low in saturated fat to really be optimal. And even keto diets have been studied. That's been found in the lab repeatedly to be true. Those diets do better than the high saturated fat ones. But I digress. They still have some carbohydrate. They're not running near zero. You're not going to ever function optimally there. You can't. It's not optimal for health. It's not optimal for longevity. It's not optimal for gaining muscle or athletic performance. So this whole statement of saying they're not essential as a reason to not eat them is moronic. And anyone saying it is literally a moron.